Good afternoon, folks. How's everybody today? I am late, a little bit late for my own live stream here. It looks like I got stuck in traffic, but it looks like we have 10. We're 10 people, 13. Okay, here we go. Uh, how is everyone today? I hope everyone is good. It is getting warmer down here in the South Texas area. Y'all will notice a certain person is chatting right now with us who is actually in the same house. Hello, James. How are you doing? So today we're going to talk about stress. It is an important topic and one that is very often neglected because the mentality of a lot of people is that you just get over it, that you just deal with it. Hello, Cindy. Once again, hello. There are a number of key areas where you have to guard against stress. And what some of you are going to be, hello, Lena, what a lot of you are going to have to do is some of you who are night workers, you might even have to make some changes. And we're going to talk about that in just a little while here. Daniel, welcome. Laura, welcome. My international audience is growing, as well as my local audience in the States. I do believe I'm getting a little bit of a tan. I've been doing 3-mile runs these last few days, and I'm feeling great. All the sunlight is really helping. I really feel. Food Dudes OMAD asks a question about fasting. And the question is about water fasting to start an OMAD plan. Let me emphasize this. If you have fasted before and you were able to do so without breaking down and becoming unstable, you can start your OMAD, your 1 meal a day fast program with a prolonged water fast. However, it's not really necessary longer than 2 days or even 1 day unless it's just something you want to do. The problem, you don't want to put your body go too long because then your body is going to get in a situation where it has to top off and it wants to start holding on to things. And that has always been the issue with water fasting or any type of restriction fasting. Once you add back in whatever it is you've taken out, you're going to lose, your body's going to kind of freak out and it's going to want to put that back on. So if you go too long and you've only been drinking water, then as soon as you introduce something that is not water, what's it going to do? It's going to say, let's save this for a rainy day, because obviously you can't store water for a rainy day. You have to store your food reserves. Well, how are you going to do that if you're just eating or if you're not consuming anything? Okay, La, don't overtalk me. Don't overtalk me, my dear. Keep it low calorie for several weeks or a week, and then gradually work on sustaining a pattern. Obviously, you're going to have energy for longer runs, but you want your body to be able to burn off what you eat and then to kick into what you have stored in your body. And if you are, after an initial break-in, if you are completely consistent, you should not have any problem there. I do know you burn off sugar a lot easier than you burn off fat that you consume. Cindy says, lost weight initially on 20 and 4, but after 2 months, I've gone back to original weight. Has my body gotten used to reduced calories? Possibly, but it usually will. Again, if you're only losing a little bit of weight, then you don't have that much to lose. So your body's going to try to not let you go too far. If you continue to have trouble, you might consider doing liquid meals. I guarantee you'll start losing then. I don't know anybody, by the way, folks, who has done OMAD juice fasting occasionally or every other day who has not lost a lot of weight. And I'm talking about the worst cases of people who don't respond to anything else. If you go one day and have a normal meal and the next day and have a juice liquid meal like carrots and pomegranate juice or something like that, and then just keep going and then go back, alternate, you will break through whatever plateau you're going through. I can just about guarantee you. And I deal with crazy cases where people do not respond just because of their metabolism is slow. Usually they're a little bit older and they've wrecked themselves. Another loose, but it seems each year to be less of an issue. I don't really fret about it too much. Kathy says, I've been trying to catch this up for a while, but work at your normal time. So today is a wonderful day. Glad to have you. Okay. For my emails from people who, and the challenge with that usually comes from stress. And that's why today's primary topic is on stress. So let's talk about the first area that you need to resolve and why. Your body will attack itself for some reason if you go through periods of prolonged stress. Your body will attack itself. So these conditions like hypothyroid and type 1 diabetes, even gestational diabetes, because it's stressful to the body, your body starts making changes. That will often trigger an autoimmune attack. And the reason for that is because of the change. So I want to start with the first thing, your career. You guys need to really look at yourself in terms of what you're doing. If you're in a job that you are not satisfied with, you need to change that job. Let me say that again. If you're in a job you're not satisfied with, you need to change that job, because it is a self-confidence ding every day. It's like Chinese water torture. You have a tiny drop hitting a certain place in your head, like the Chinese used to do, and eventually it would drive you crazy and it would actually damage you. But it's just water, right? It's just a drip. It's that way with your career. I am getting a lot of questions about night workers. Kathy, before I begin on that, Kathy, go to my recent video. I hope you saw it. Yesterday I did a video on, or the day before I did a video on juicing and some tips. Basically, you're going to want to aim for 2 or 3 tall glasses of juice that is as close to fresh as possible, and do that periodically, and you will see some results. Also, I can recommend some mushrooms. I'll do a separate video on that. Let's see, a great big smile. It's not meant to be, sorry. But let me say this for those of you who are night workers. I'm getting emailed a lot by night workers. Here's the thing, if you don't get sun, you're going to start having problems. I went 2 years ago to the doctor, and I work evenings into the nights, or I did. I've resigned now, and I'm one of my jobs, and I'm feeling better than ever. I'm like, yes, I get to reclaim my mornings, and now I'm going to be up a lot more mornings. If you don't do that, if you don't make sure you get enough sun, for those of you who have autoimmune disorders, for those of you who are struggling in different ways, you need to aim, instead of the normal 30 minutes of sunlight per day, about an hour and a half to 3 hours. And this does not have to be direct sunlight. We had somebody say, take vitamin D supplement if you don't get very way to replace the sun. If this planet became a rogue planet and just started floating away, we would die. And I don't mean because of the cold. I mean because all life would eventually fall to a state of lesser and lesser optimal functioning, and eventually you would have trees that no longer grow. You would have plants that no longer grow. It's the same thing with humans. So I have been spending a lot of time out in the sun, and I'm feeling super. I'm feeling much better. And I would recommend you do the same. So the first thing, I got a spider right here, and it is driving me nuts all day. The first thing is to look at your career. Big thing with regard to, you need to make sure, if your boss is bothering you, if your company is bothering you, if you're in a state of stress to where you find you're coming home and you're always thinking about it, you're always fighting about it, you're always angry about it, please listen to me. Find a way to quit that job. If you're not looking right, if you haven't been looking, start today and remind yourself, just like you're in prison, mark the calendar, day 1, day 2, to keep yourself moving forward. Remember your value. Some of you success in the business world. If you don't do that, go to HR Whiplash, and you can get more on this. But let me tell you this: I work with different people in trying to find themselves. So people are suffering because their career objectives are not lined up, and it becomes a self-esteem blow. Please remember, there comes a time in every company where a certain person is no longer a fit. And there comes a time in every person's life where they are not a fit for the company, and vice versa. Get ready to make some changes. So say, if you're struggling today and you're hearing this for the first time, say, hey, I'm going to make some changes 2 months from now. It might take 2 to 6 months to find a job, but guess what? You can do it. You can start again, and the endorphins you will get, the spiritual boost that you will get from looking out for yourself, your body will reward you with, not only by more endorphins and being happy, but that will facilitate healing. So we talked about sunlight and the importance of getting sunlight, and we talked about career. Let's talk about the importance of your social relationships. Some of you write me just to share negative things. I'm talking with someone right now whose son is severely overweight, but he doesn't want to help himself, and he is living in the house of his mother and won't get a job, won't take care of his health. Of course, he's chronically sick, and he's always demanding things. If you don't correct those sorts of situations, you're just as doomed as if you stay in a job that you absolutely despise. You're really going to hurt yourself if you don't look out for yourself. You need to gradually talk to the people in your life and say, listen, we're getting closer to the date. I need you to go out and get a job. I need you to do this. I need you to stop causing fights in the family. So that's the second thing. You need to look at your social relationships. Some of you are in friendships where you feel like your running buddies aren't helping you anymore. God, spring cleaning is a beautiful thing. It's good to start again. If you get nothing else from this broadcast, know that it is good to start again. It's just like growing up. You get the little cute shoes when you're 5 and whatnot. I still have Michaela's old shoes there. All of these little things, and then eventually they outgrow them. In no time, they outgrow them. Well, it's like that with your life. You get to a point where something is good for you, and then it's not good for you anymore. So you've got to switch that up. So please hear me loud and clear on that. Cholesterol mentioned adaptogens. I'm gonna do a video on my my adaptogen panel, all the mushrooms that I take and how they work and why. And that will be a separate thing. Can cultivating a spiritual path contribute to or take away stress? Oh, absolutely it can. Definitely, sir. It's one of the best. And I've said this before. If you're not at your best, physically, psychologically, and whatnot, all of those things, you're going to run into trouble. Because if one area is too high and another is too low, that's going to cause an imbalance. It's like getting on a boat and jumping to one side. It's either going to turn the boat over or it's going to make it to where you have to bend down quickly and grab the other side to right the situation you're in. So if you're at odds with God, if you're at odds with your church, if you're at odds with your brother or sister, if you've been fighting with family members, you need to do the spiritual thing and rectify that, because holding that around and carrying that around will make you sick. You guys don't know, but so many times I have been counseling someone, and it came out that their biggest challenge was uh, the stress that they feel um, because of tension in their life. And JD Revenge says that your brother or his brother. That's something that you have to look at your own life and see what's the problem. Are you fighting with someone? Go and rectify that. And here's what you'll find: you find that you start. It's like a weight is lifted off of you, and then the next thing you go to do, like you go to eat your one meal a day, you feel more satiated. You start sleeping better, which is the next thing we're going to get to. And then lo and behold, you go to weigh yourself in a few days and you're lighter. I don't know what it is with your body and stress, the way you hold on to water when you're in a state of stress. And that's why when people get sick, they usually collect a lot of fluid. I know a lot of people have problems in their lymph system. Well, a lot of that is because your body's holding on to stuff. Thank you very much, JD Revenge, for your donation. I appreciate that so much. Keep in mind, folks, anything you donate to the channel, you're helping offset the cost of the domain and my consulting platform and stuff like that. I thank you so much for your support there. I appreciate very much your contributing. By the way, for those of you who do, I have omadrevolution@gmail is a way if you want to do PayPal and you don't want to go through this. And I get lots of questions from people on the donations. There's a way on YouTube to do it. If you go to the right panel, there should be a donate. You should see a donate button, but if you don't, you can just do PayPal, and it's omadrevolution@gmail, all together, no spaces or anything like that. So the last thing here is sleep. It is a mark of adrenal fatigue and thyroid problems to struggle with your sleep, but it is usually a problem simply with your body being out of whack and stress. So if you are stressing about something, you're going to sleep worse, which is going to cause you to have less REM sleep, rapid eye movement, where you start processing. And you start your body's able to heal effectively. If you're not sleeping regularly, you need to work on sleeping. And this is where we get back to night shift workers. If you are a night shift worker, you need to, especially those of you who shift on and off of the night shift, that's especially hard on your body because your melatonin cycle gets screwed up and your body doesn't know when to make you tired. Now, if you are, say, 27, somebody's trolling around here. Every once in a while, we get people that just can't behave. Hang on just a second. All right. Yeah. Just has to happen that way. You got somebody who can't behave themselves. So. And then Kathy says, so true, fall asleep easily, but wake up an hour later and am awake for hours. Always feel awful, however, when I have a good sleep, feel great. Yes, and this is an indication that there's some form of irregularity. If you are nice to your body will be nice to you. If you are going through life and you're lacking in security, you're doing things for the wrong reasons, you're out of step with your true self. And this, by the way, is why I do my counseling, to help people try to find their true selves. That's why I do the assessments. If you aren't true with that, then what happens is you'll wake up in the middle of the night. You'll start having weird dreams, and your body will start playing games with you. One of the ways it does that is by messing with your sleep cycle. So what you'll do is you'll sleep and you'll have maybe 10 or 20 minutes of good sleep, and you'll wake up for 3 hours, and then you'll go back to sleep, and then you'll wake up with a headache. In my 20s, I had migraines, and my migraines were, I don't get them often now. It would just kick my butt. I mean, it would knock me off the wagon. I would have to go and just lay down. If I was at college or something, I would find a hideaway and have to sleep for 10 or 20 minutes. And I had the whole works. I had sensitivity to light. I had queasiness, sometimes dry heaving. I would get the whole works. If you're a person who's struggling with that, you need to do a full life inventory. And this is where you ask yourself these questions that we're going over. Am I satisfied in my job? Am I satisfied in my social and family relationships? And am I making it possible so that I can get good sleep? Now, if you're in, let me finish answering this question for those of you who've emailed me. If you are in a situation where you go to your boss and you say, I can't work this shift, and they say, I'm sorry, what you can do is go to your doctor and you can get a doctor's note. Go back to your place of work and said, listen, here's this shows that I'm legitimately having an issue. Go to your HR and start. If you can't right away, say, listen, I'll bear with you. I'll do this for like 6 more weeks or 3 more months or something. But then after that, I've got to change. If you do that and let them know, they'll try to work with you. And most companies can work with you because they're obligated to make reasonable accommodations. But if they can't, it's time for you to start looking. And I say that again for those of you older than 39, because your body does not handle night hours as well as someone who's 25 or 27 or 29. It's really that way. It's really that way. So anyway, those are the big things for today. I wanted to share these things with you. Let's see. I'm getting some texts here. But this is pretty much where we're at. I did just get another question. It just came to me about working nights, and Anne, here's something else, and she shared this the person who just emailed me. Hostile work environment at work. If you're feeling cramped, if you're feeling stressed from things that people are saying to you, again, you have to treat it just like any other stress in life. Now, obviously, we all have levels of stress where we're going to have stress, and I'm not going to contribute to these people who go around saying that you can't have stress, because guess what? That's dumb. You're not going to get it in a situation in life where everything is just fine. So definitely don't do that. You don't want to be in a situation where you say, well, everything has got to be stress-free or I can't function. And I do get into I do get messages from people who feel like that. They feel like they can't function. Because, lo and behold, somebody said something stressful to me. Well, if you're that sensitive, then you're not going to function very well either. So what you have to do is look at your life and find the happy medium and see about how you can function. And with that said, I'm going to answer a couple of other questions that were emailed to me. One is, I eat steak every day. Do you recommend a steak carnivore diet? Not really, because personally, I don't, unless you have tried it before. Here's the thing, folks. It's like long fasts. If you have done fasts before, you can do a longer fast. If you fasted 24 hours, you can fast 48. If you are a person who's eating 5 little meals a day, and you are a hypothyroid woman, like most of you who come to me are, and you've taught not good advice. But if that's you, then of course your biggest challenge is to go to 2 meals and then to 1 meal, because your body is not going to do well with the stress created from going without food. But once you've been eating 1 meal a day for 2 weeks or a month, you can you can experiment with different types of fasting. And of course, you should consult your goal, because if your goal is just to lose weight, then just stay with 1 meal. If your goal is to get healthier or to do spiritual cleansing or to cleanse your mind, then you should be considering a 2 or 3 day fast, maybe a 4 or 5 day fast. But you don't just jump to one or the other. So let me go. And in terms of those of you who are carnivore people, Jim has a channel, Beating Obesity, and he's pretty much, I think, exclusively carnivore. This works for some people. I never took to it. I never took to it, and I did try it. Well, I didn't really try it recently because I knew it wouldn't work for me. But if you want to try going on steak, I think you're going to take in a lot of uric acid. But if you can handle it and you don't have any issues like gout or something like that, then, and you don't, you're not worried about cholesterol, you don't get a negative response, then go right ahead and do that. Natalie asks about, and these are a list of questions. These are not the chat questions. These are a list of questions that come from some of the ones that are emailed to me that I haven't responded to this morning. I'm sorry, some of you guys, if I've missed replying. I try to reply to every message. Sometimes it takes like 2 or 3 days to get back to some of you. Hang on, let's see. So yeah, Natalie asked about shoes being hey, stress can come from anything. I don't know if it's your shoes or anything that in your life that is an unresolved conflict, my friends, is an issue. You don't say, oh, it's okay, I agree to something, if you don't agree to it. That's a problem with some of you. Here we go. We got a couple more. Mary says, can you eat sugar in this diet? Here's the thing. Mary, do you mean processed junk sugar? Or do you mean like fruit sugar? They're completely different because your body absorbs fruit sugar naturally and you don't have to make as much insulin. If you mean like candy bars and junk, you're kind of not doing yourself a favor because it's too enriched and you'll make your fasting harder. I don't call OMAD a diet, I call it more of a lifestyle. Food Dude asks, should one worry about getting far too few calories on a one plate a day? Depending on what you're eating, it could really vary, veggies versus meat or rice versus cheese. Good point. The contents can really up the amount. That depends on you. Usually what I did when I started is I started very, very low calorie, too low calorie, like 500 calories. And that's why you can't do something like a juice fast for too long, because you're going to be at like 250 to 600 calories. You're not going to have enough to go for very long, but you'll break past a plateau easily. If you're having the most stubborn plateau in the world, you can do a 5 to 10 day juice fast. Guess what? You'll knock the hell out of that plateau. I mean, just violently. You will beat it like just let imagination run wild. You'll take care of it. But you don't want to stay that way. So I wouldn't worry about too few calories unless you're talking like you're going to go 8 months or 5 months, or obviously what happens when you go too low on calories is your body will get to a point where your productivity will start being hurt. So you'll start being very tired, or you'll start being unfunctional, and your body will get to you'll break into your reserves in a way that is too extreme. So you'll start losing weight like 2 pounds a day. And then you'll know something is wrong, because you'll get to a point where you've hit rock bottom and your body will tell you, go ahead and eat more. And when you do, guess what will happen? You'll start feeling good again. And so that usually, after a month of doing it, Food Dude, I went back up to 1,300 to 1,600 calories, and I stayed there throughout the duration of my weight loss. So I was able to carve off 2 pounds, 1.5 to 3 pounds every week, consistently with very few exceptions. But here's the thing. I had a lady from the UK email me years ago, and she was so mad at me because she said, how dare you tell people they can eat what they want every day? I said, go ahead. Your body's going to step in and you're going to get tired of those foods. And what's going to happen? Your body's going to make you go eat something else. So, and I've said this about pasta consumption, ladies and pasta. I did a video on this not too long ago. You go ahead and eat it every day if you want to eat it every day. You're going to get tired of it, and your body's going to say, we're not getting nutrients here. We're going to need something else. Very few people in the world there are who can just eat one food. You hear about these nutcases that eat just one food. You're really not going to be able to do that for very long. So there's no point in, I don't think, entertaining those sorts of questions. So let me But yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. And I don't let people that try to get to me on anything. You're not gonna get to me. It's your body will correct all the. It'll get you back into your routine if you just have even the most rudimentary sense about it. Okay, Jarek asks, could you please explain why did you go for juice fast instead of full fruits? This is a question I've had several. Common sense tells me that generally the less processed the food is, the better it gets. Thank you for this question. This is a completely good question that actually I've gotten people email me as soon as I posted that video the other day. I got 3 quick emails and 2 comments on the channel, or at least 1 comment that was public. Um, here's the problem. Anytime you chew, you get an insulin response because it's a physiological response to start making insulin when you're eating. That's why when you eat a small meal, it's harder than if you eat a larger meal because your body starts making insulin and the tendency is to fill up. So if you take a handful of grapes and you eat them, you're going to be hungrier. But if you take the same grapes and you juice them and you drink them, you won't be because you'll quickly absorb the nutrients. Add to that, your body will, your digestive juices will have to start, your peristaltic wave will have to start going so that your stomach is moving just like your jaw is moving, and it's going to be in the mode of your mouth chewing and then your stomach churning to try to digest your food. So if you take fruits, you can get a great benefit from eating a fruit or a fruitarian meal, but you're still not going to be as good as juicing. So if you want a pure fast and you want nutrients, especially those of you who are, your liver's been damaged and you're starting to get hypoglycemic. That those of you with hypoglycemia, your liver's damaged. That's why you're not rebounding. So you get shaky. You eat, you get tired, you get sleepy, and you do this, and you want to lay on your recliner or on your couch or on your bed and just go to sleep for 2 hours because you feel unproductive. Your liver's damaged. You should not be making too much insulin or too little. If you are, then that means your liver sensitivity has been hurt and or you're insulin resistant. So does that make sense, Jarek? Juicing doesn't tax the body. In terms of the juices I showed in that video, that video is just a quick basic way to do juicing without a juicer, because most people might have a NutriBullet or a blender, but they might not have a juicer. So ideally, you would want to take a juice and process it and drink it, something like carrot and celery juice. And you don't have to do it every day, just once a week, twice a week is good. But if you can, for someone who wants to do that, I gave the video and I showed the Bolthouse Farms that are minimally processed. They're barely processed at all. So that's still better than cheap juice like you get in any store where it's got high fructose corn syrup and it's not that good for you. Julie says, I almost missed you. My husband was fixing my sewing machine and I was holding the flashlight. No problem. I almost missed my own live stream. I got caught in traffic on I-35 coming back from Austin. So I nearly missed my own program. So I add 1/2 cup of walnuts to my meal, but still get too few calories, Bruce says. Okay, well, it depends on your goal. What is your goal, Bruce? Are you trying to lose weight and you're worried about or if you're getting too few calories, that's okay. If you add nuts in, you'll get your calories if you add just a little bit more. But if you're underweight, then definitely you need to worry about it because you have to make sure you're not getting too few calories. Every once in a while, I'll get someone who reaches out to me and they'll be way underweight and they want to do fasting. Well, guess what? You kind of can't very much unless you have the fat reserves for it. I had a guy contact me, 6'2" at 140 pounds. Dude, you need to be careful because you're not in a healthy weight range for fasting. That said, if you are a person who follows my channel and you are underweight, what I would recommend you do is do occasional, like twice a year, 3-day and 5-day fasts, where you top off and get your glycogen reserves very full and then go into a water-only fast and come back out. That way your body starts burning on your reserves only 1 time or 2 times in the year, and you're not. Remember, you folks, you lose less fat when you do strict fasts. When you do dry fasts, when you do Water only fast, your body is going to slow your metabolism after a while because it's got to hold on to everything it can do and make sure you don't die, basically. When you do one meal, you're getting the low calorie benefit, but you're also getting the lower stress benefit because you're not going into full ketosis, you're going into low grade ketosis, which doesn't shock your body as bad. So that's why it's so do you experience regain going back up? I presume you mean um, off the juicing. Well, you will if you start pigging out, but if you just have the first day, you just go back onto a normal OMAD meal, and the next day maybe have a larger meal, I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem. Um, but does that answer your question? Am I understanding you? So, and of course, for anybody who's asked, the other people who've asked, for those who are juice fasting, there's no set amount of time, but it can be every other day, or it can be occasional 5 to 10 days. It just depends on your body and what you're adjusted to. Uh, I'm just kind of reading ahead. Nutheads, I love it. Here's the thing, folks. You have to be careful with nuts because they're very addictive. It's like peanut butter. The stuff is addictive, and it will cause binging if you're not careful. Oh, when I was fasting, no, one meal you're not going to gain. When I was at 700 to 800 calories a day, I went up to 1600. I did not gain because it was kind of gradual. But two, if you go to having days when you're eating a hard normal meal, and you fluctuate in calories, you're not going to gain weight if you're strict one meal. Same thing with juicing. If you juice one meal and you have you jump to as long as you stay with one meal, you're really not going to put on weight. It's going to be very hard to, unless you're getting stupid calories. Like it's hard to gain a lot of weight on eating once a day. So you would have to really overdo it. And it depends on your metabolism and your body. Bruce asks about fibromyalgia. Fell off the wagon after a month, twice now. Want to eat plants only. Are you saying you have fibromyalgia and it made it worse, or you're trying to treat it, or for those of you who are struggling, you may, again, juice fasting is an option because it's a little bit easier than normal fasting. And if you have any sort of issues with insulin resistance, you're getting too hungry, you're craving sweets too much, you might need to ease into it, because some people, their nervous system reacts. I'm getting contacted by fibro people. Let me say something here about fibromyalgia since you brought it up, Bruce. Some people consider it a complete myth. They think that it's completely fake, but what they don't understand is, regardless of how the medical community bills it, it is basically just an overactive immune system. It's no different than having T cells attack you. Your T cells can start attacking your pancreas and give you type 1 diabetes. Again, from stress. I know people who lost their jobs. I know people who had a baby, had a difficult pregnancy. I know people who had an accident or who were assaulted. I know one guy who was arrested for something he didn't do. He became a diabetic after that because the stress ate him up, and it did it so fast that his body could not compensate. The body went crazy, started attacking him. He developed from that type 1 diabetes. And again, I can't prove that that's why, but it's funny. Eric Berg pointed out in several videos on his channel that most people who suffer autoimmune attacks do so because of because of a crisis, a stress response. They went through a period of that. Still at a loss on the week, food dude. I'm not sure I understand your question. What's your favorite OMAD meal? My favorite OMAD meal? Oh boy, here's the thing. This is like asking me my favorite song. I don't think I can answer you because sometimes I'm in the mood for trance music. Sometimes I'm in the mood for techno. Sometimes I'm in the mood for 80s classic rock, or different tunes. It depends on my mood. Other times, I am in the mood for, in terms of food, I'm in the mood for something like rice and gravy with pot roast. Yummy, right? Other times, I'm in the mood for Mexican. If you ask me most days of the week, I love chips and salsa. I love Mexican food. I just love it. Chinese would be second. Cajun would be third. What would be fourth? I don't know. I'm not an Italian person. That's like fifth. Probably good old American food, hangover burger or something. Um, Medium rare hamburger with fried egg on the top and lightly salted French fries. That's what I would go to my work. I would go and just go and tell the chef, just make me a hangover burger, and I would take a banana with that, and that would be my meal for the day. So, uh, how many of you have had an endocrine panel done? Do a full autoimmune panel. For those of you who are having fibromyalgia or fibromyalgia symptoms, a lot of you poor people just go for years and you're starting to have symptoms of autoimmune diseases, but you don't really know what it is because you don't have a diagnosis. If you're in a situation like that, go and get your results. Do a baseline blood test. Same thing, if you're finding this channel today, do a baseline blood test where you start in with your results today. So if you are actually finding this channel and you have insurance, and usually most insurance plans have a way for you to go get a full blood panel preventatively, as long as you don't mention a medical condition. So if you go in there and you say, "Oh, my wrist is hurting," guess what? Now it's a treatment. But if you say, I just want to do a yearly physical," they'll cover you 100% most of the time. If you don't have insurance, I know it's expensive, but some places even offer, if you go online, you can put in free yearly physicals, and you can see about doing different plans. But if you do have it, go get it today. Go have it done. And then when you're into OMAD 3 months, compare your blood markers. The endocrine panel goes into red blood and white blood cell count. It goes into TSH. It goes into, of course, your A1C, your different blood panels. You want to go and get your testosterone if you're a man. If you're a lady, do a full lady blood panel. And if you go and mention that, then they will give you the full works. There's a place called Total Men's Care that people are telling me about. I don't have any direct experience with them, and they're not, like a sponsor. I don't do sponsors on this channel or anything, but you can go and they'll, for like $250 or something like that, they will knock you right up with a good blood panel, and they'll get you the results. And I'll even offer this, if you want to do a consult with me, I can, even just a basic consult, if you want to bring me your numbers, I can shed some light because I know how to read them. And without telling you all the details in this program, if you come to me about that, I can help you with that quite a bit. I can't do what a doctor can do, but I can do a lot, because most doctors, as some of you know, are not trained. They're just big pharma people. They want to put you on medication as quickly as they can. They don't really care why you're sick. They don't really care that if you just add some adaptogenic herbs, you can cure your energy, your fatigue problem. They don't care. They just want to put you on Prozac or put you on levothyroxine, which, by the way, doesn't work for most people. Unless you are of a certain type, it really doesn't work. So usually exhaust all your diet options, folks. Before you consider going on medication, exhaust all your diet options. Usually fasting will cure all insulin resistance pretty easily. Blood sugar will go back to normal most of the time without much help, but you have to be consistent. I enjoy a few drinks on the weekends occasionally. If included in a compressed window and balanced food, would you still lose? Alcohol is a tricky cog in the machine. Thank you for this question. Yes, I had a guy email me and he got mad at me for saying that you can have a beer at the meal, or a wine, or even a shot of vodka or something like that. And his argument was, and he quoted some study about how alcohol is hard on the liver, which it is, it definitely is, but it takes the body out of fat loss. Well, let's put it to the test. You have a shot of alcohol, or even 2 shots with your meal, and then you go back to have a normal meal as you would. guess what? You're fine. You still lose weight. Um, Again, I know that there are people who can have alcohol and not go overboard. Personally, I don't drink, but it's not evil if you do, and it doesn't make you. It doesn't put you in a situation where you have to, make changes. You just don't. Are there any change in mood, sleep, or energy while on the OMAD diet? This depends. Most yes. To answer your question, when you're burning ketones, your body starts feeling happy. You go around and you're on that happy pill, where you just feel good. You go throughout the day and you're like, yes, we're going to get some things done. We got it. You feel good. You feel active. You feel strong. Um, but that varies. If you are if you tend to be along in years, your body may not go back into ketosis as fast, so you're going to feel run down. So if you're doing OMAD and you're having a longer time breaking in and you don't feel very good and you get headachy and you feel depressed and lethargic, that's an indication you're not burning your fat. So you need to help your body along by going lower calorie to get started. However, most people will feel better. They'll feel the beginnings of hunger high early on, but it peaks at about 3 months. 6 weeks to 3 months, where you start getting in that zone where you're like, I got this. I am a predator. I am a killer. I'm going to knock this out and take names. That's hunger high, when your body is fully adapted. Now, if you are in that state, keep going. Do not do anything to subvert it, because why would you want to? I had a guy who got in full hunger high. He was 6 weeks into his OMAD plan, and he was emailing me he got into my advanced plan. Man, this guy was losing weight. He controlled his blood sugar. Well, then he went out for his birthday and he had a huge cake. Well, he felt like crap because his body did not know how to process it anymore because it was burning his fat. So it messed up his mood for about a week and a half again, until his body relearned what he was doing. Some people, if you're doing well, I mean, why would you want to change that? Again, the social pressures of eating, I could do a whole hour on the dangers of the social pressures of eating. Most of the hunger temptations you get are just here because you've been told for so long that we need to celebrate, we need to have fun, we need to go out and do this. Why do we associate satiety with satisfaction, with satisfaction in our lives? It's a purely invented machine. It's something you do because others do it. Somebody says, hey, let's go get tore up. Let's go out and get chicks and go have drinks. You've been taught to do that because everybody, your whole life, that's the default mechanism of how to celebrate. A person like me doesn't have much of a problem saying, I don't need to do that, because I can be very reclusive. It's kind of like a gift I have. I can stay in my house or apartment. I don't have to go outside or do anything to please somebody. Some of you do. You're people pleasers. I just got done coaching a woman a few days ago. She's one of the biggest people pleasers I've ever seen. She is you first, me second, so much so that she was going to the doctor for this. I mean, because she would never stick up for herself because she feels like she has to do it. Well, as a result, she's a social eater. What do you do when you're a social eater? You always do what everybody tells you. Hey, let's go out and eat. Okay, I can't say no to that. Somebody made a pie for me. Oh, I can't say no to that. They'll be offended if I don't eat it. You see how hard it is? Well, it's not hard, but it's hard because it's how you're wired. Sleep, yes. Some people, and it's just the way they are, when they go into a fasted state, they lose sleep because their body's trying to make them anxious to go out to feed. The solution to that is to put your meal closer to night. Go out and put your meal about 4 hours before bedtime. Maybe a little less, maybe a little more, depending on what you digest. And the same thing, I've already addressed the energy issue. If you're still burning sugar and you haven't switched over to fat burning, you're going to be a little more lethargic while you adjust, but you will adjust. Diana says, OMAD 5 weeks, don't get very hungry now. Do I force myself to add calories? Do you need to? What is your goal? If you're doing super low calories, your body's eventually going to make you add calories. I would say just be natural with that. Your body's going to talk to you. Listen to your body. Sausage Lord, that's awesome, man. Sausage Lord says, been on OMAD for 9 weeks. I'm loving it, and I'm aiming for a year. That's good. Here's the thing: if you're doing OMAD properly, you can do it indefinitely. Obviously, you don't want to be in a calorie deficit for several years if you're not. Now, if you're obese, you can be. You could go. I'm consulting people who are 600 pounds. They they can do that. It'll take them 3 years to lose their weight, or 2 years. And they're losing really fast. I don't want them to lose too fast. So they can actually live the OMAD lifestyle at a deficit. But even if you're not, I've been living OMAD for, remember, this has been August of 2013 or 2014. I've lost, I don't need to lose anything. And I've been maintaining this on OMAD with very few departures since 2013. It can be done, and you can do it healthfully. You can do it, but you will eventually get to a point where you have to add calories. And the way you do that is gradual. You start upping your calories. You start bringing in the nuts. You start bringing in the higher protein. If it's this is life adaptation, folks. For those of you who are losing weight, you're not there yet, so you haven't had to add anything back. Yes, eventually you will get to a point where you have to add calories and up your activity levels, because you're going to get in this situation where you're going to have to find the new happy medium. Whereas before you had to lower your calories because you were a raging fat ass and you kept eating too much. Well, once you got that down, guess what? Life stepped in again and said, this isn't going to work forever. So what do? You have to go back up. You have to climb back up all the way to where your body will have a surplus. Some of you need more protein. Some of you need to add back in meat. I know that I'm working with some vegans who are becoming reluctant meat eaters. You're going to need to bring some animal protein back into your diet to be at optimal health. Some people can do a pure vegan routine without any problems. Some of you can't. Me, I've told you before, I can't go purely vegan, even though I love it, because my body, my brain, it doesn't work right. I need some flesh food I don't know if it's a choline or, it's optimized. I optimize myself when I'm doing that. Yes, the social is the worst. I can fast like a champ by myself. Around other people, it's 1,000 times harder because you're a social eater. You're probably a networker. You're probably an eye on the disc graph, which means it's going to be harder for you. But guess what? Once you know yourself, you can reach out. And if you want to, Food Dude, reach out to me on the consulting program. You can learn a lot more. If I don't eat around my coworkers, they start gossiping about me and worrying. Well, Mary, you've got to do that. You've got to own that and say, listen, I appreciate you guys, but I'm totally good. I've got it all worked out. I'm in control. My health is a priority to me. My life is a priority to me, but I'm not going to live to eat. And that's what you got to tell them. You got to own it. Don't just totally avoid it. If you know there's gossip going on, get in front of it. You don't want to argue either, but just lay it down and then be done with it. Tara Bass, how are you? My family is currently celebrating Good Friday, and they're eating all kinds of food I ate before I came here, and I will not break. There you go. That's resolved. It doesn't matter what they do. You can take all of that good food and put it as a for your meal tomorrow, and you know that already. You've already got the hang of it. I can tell by the way you wrote that expression in the chat here. Mary or Cindy Webb. Mary, I can relate to that. One coworker in particular always tries to get me to eat snacks. They don't know they're putting pressure on you because they feel like they're being kind and hospitable and inclusive. Do you want some? How many people just start eating in front of somebody when they're around? They don't do it. They've been taught. You offer something to somebody. Oh, what can I do? It's programming. It's social programming. They don't know that they're doing what they're doing. Can you blame them? I mean, how many people do? My struggle is when I have to prepare food for my kids, lunch and breakfast, while I abstain. Totally just concern. It is something that is there. I have had to do that many times, and But you know what? Just picture your food as dead gray matter. I picture it, I gray it out. I like in my mind, it's not even food until the time to eat is there. You pretend it's inedible to you. It's like my mind gets kind of creative. So I pretend to be like there was imagine being a cyborg. Or I feel like a superior form of life fasting. Now, here's uh, a little bit of fantasy going on here. So when I'm around others and when they gawk around about me eating only once a day, and they say, "Well, why aren't you eating this delicious coconut pie?" I say to myself, "Oh no, I'm good." I like the fact that I'm out of kilter with them because that makes me, in a vain way, feel a little bit superior. Use that to your advantage. Use your imagination to your advantage, because if you know that most of the world is are slobs, most of the standard American diet world, the snackers, the power eaters, the bingers, all of these people whose lives are out of control, the vending machine people, their lives are pitiable. You are clearly, if you're following this channel, and I'm serious when I say this, you are a superior human being. Not because you are necessarily eating once a day, but because you're mindful of what you put in your body and how you put what you put in your body. So that makes you an optimized human being because you want a better end game for yourself and those who love you, those who depend on you. If you're a raging fat ass and you don't care, you're not watching this channel. You're doing your own thing. You're just eating like I used to be. I used to be a complete slob and eat all the time. I ate whenever I was hungry. I ate to celebrate. I ate because I was depressed. I ate because people said things to me. I just said, "Ah, screw you. I'm just going to go and eat. If I didn't get this, I would celebrate by getting more food." Those are slobs. But the fact that you're not that you can overcome your social eating makes you a badass in a sense. You are able to own your life by restricting. So in other words, I feel like a machine around people. I know that my most productive time is empty, not full. So pretend that in the theater of your mind, pretend you are like a cyborg, like a Cyberdyne Systems Model 101. You don't need to stop and eat there. Everybody else, it's everybody else that's having to do that, not you. So I hope that little analogy there is helpful for those of you who can get out there and be creative. There's nothing wrong with having a little bit of ego involved, is there? We all have it. Tara Bass says no meat, no energy. Well, for most of us, that's true. I can do just great for a whole week on vegetation, but then I eventually have to bring back in meat or I'm not going to do very well. Like the other day, I went to, what I did for my birthday? I celebrated. My 45th birthday was on the 16th, and I went out and to Golden Corral, and I had their Cajun sausage. I had steak, medium well steak, and I had fried shrimp. I had it, man. I had it good. And you know what? I felt better. Instead of being tired and groggy, I went out of there. I felt like a rock star, and I went out for a run. Guess what? There's no stopping me. I felt good. Hi from Puerto Rico. Hello, Iris. Do you need to exercise while on OMAD? You do not for most people, especially if you are very overweight. However, if you are in optimum weight or close to it, I would recommend 30 minutes to an hour and a half of walking every day, very brisk walking. That is what I call safe exercise. If you are, I don't know how old you are, I don't know your life stats. If you are 21, 25, if you're in your prime or younger or slightly older, you can get away with exercising, and you won't. What you want to do, again, stress. That's the theme of today. You don't want to challenge your body to suffer too much stress. Start holding on the water. Hello, May. Great tip. Thanks. I can go from slave to food to superior being. Oh, yes. My friends, listen. Let me go back to that. You are the superior being, not because of anything that you can't help, but because you can help it. Once you optimize your life, and I'll start to wrap up here since we've been going an hour. I came in late, so I'll end later. Once you start optimizing your life, you're going to be on a totally different level. It's the people who go through life and they're asleep. They're oblivious to their consequences. I think I said this on another presentation, but I have a guy who used to work for me. He's now 85 pounds overweight. And in 2014, it was not that long ago, he's put on 85 pounds because he is a young guy who goes and drinks and eats whenever he's hungry. He's 24, or he was 24. Where is he going to be at 34? He's asleep. He's not mindful of how he's eating. If you're watching this channel and you are one of the superior beings, and everybody can choose to be, your mind, your life will forever be in control because you will have done the necessity. Most of people say they cannot work when they're empty. Yes, that's the programming. Oh, I got to eat. I got to stop and eat. We can do it, but first let's stop and eat. No. That's the reverse. What you do is you do what you need to, then you eat, and then you get in the habit. Remember I said on that one video, empty is the new full? Empty is the new full. That's the way it is. There's no reason why you can't. I have not heard from Mr. Raphael. I don't know, Daniel, where he is. I hope he's doing okay. Stephen Raphael is definitely a high energy cat. I'm trying to look back, see if I missed anything. Let me know. Should I cut myself because I'm a lesbian and people don't like that? Where do you live? Do people really care about your sexual orientation? Do you live in like the Bible Belt or something where in like a small town where people are bashing you? Your sexual orientation does not define you at all. Here's the thing. If you're cutting yourself, I'm guessing you're really young, stop right away and contact me. You're doing something that is self-destructive and potentially dangerous. What you're trying to do is live on the endorphins. I had a girl work for me who would cut her forearms because she was depressed because she felt rejected. You need to reach out because that is a self-destructive behavior. It is not. It is. But why would you think? Who cares? I mean, your choice in sexual preference, or your sexual orientation rather, which is not something you choose, I believe. That's not something that nobody even needs to care about, but you should own it and say, no, I am the way I am. That's the way it is. It doesn't have to be your problem. You need to own this and say, it's none of their business. And you're in a world where that is sexual orientation, at least already it's official in the federal government. That is a protected thing. You cannot have anybody give you a hard time because of your sexual orientation. Again, who doesn't like that? Thank you for the birthday wishes, Shirley. Ms. Murray, do not worry at all. Please, let me nail this point home. You don't ever do that. You are in control and you can own everything and everyone in your life just by stepping up. Never doubt I have weird qualities. I got to be careful what I share because I'm in the business world. But there are things about me that I can't share. Believe you me, you do not ever let something like as silly as whether someone's gay or black or something like that. This is your age. You are completely protected from any stuff like that. So, like I said, reach out to me if you have any lingering issues there. Please, because I worry. Please I'm glad to hear you say that you're going to stop that. I'm about a week back on OMAD. I know I'm eating too much. Do you think my appetite will correct itself in a couple of weeks, or do I need to watch my portion? No, you need to watch it. Either or is actually true. Eventually, you'll get to a point where eating too much, you can up your activity to average out. But if you need to lose weight and that's what you're worried about, start cutting down. Make yourself at a pronounced deficit. Add in the walking, get plenty of sunlight, follow the plan, and you'll find a happy medium. But I would definitely, anytime you start harder and go easier, you're going to lose more weight faster. I carried a 10-pound sack of potatoes out of the grocery store last night. To think I had 6 plus of these on my body before OMAD, no matter I'm feeling so happy. No wonder I am feeling so happy these age. Yes, Julie has done some great things, and I talked to Julie Finnegan on MyFitnessPal, which, by the way, those of you not on MyFitnessPal, you're missing an opportunity to easily track your food, your portions, plus get involved in the OMAD forums, forums.omad.info. You can go share your journey with people who are on there. Julie knows, has changed her life. She's a very good example. Do you have a YouTube channel, Julie? If you do, I haven't checked it out. I don't know if she does or not. But yes, to think about how much, we forget how much 10 pounds is. 20 pounds is a lot. I have a 45-pound weighted vest that I put on and walk with and if you want to make walking more exciting, go put on a weighted vest and try to do all the things you normally do with that extra weight. Once you've lost weight, that's just 45 pounds. You'll find that you burn a heck of a lot more calories because your body's having to work harder to carry that around. Believe you me, you're gonna see a difference. Yeah, raging fat ass, Cindy, is actually not my expression. It comes from a cousin of mine who used to call me that when I used to overeat because I was such a raging fat ass. So it's true, and I've used it, Hi, Stacy. Hi there. I'm diabetic. How do blood sugars read while doing OMAD? Usually it will be higher to start with, and then it will gradually get lower. If you have dawn phenomenon, you'll be higher in the mornings when you're fasting as opposed to when you're eating. I have a live stream on that I did. It's saved as one of the videos on diabetes. I think I called it Treatise on Diabetes or something like that. Watch that, and I go into signs on how to tell if it's genetic diabetes or how not, and what tests to get. Thank you, Miss Marie. I appreciate that. Your attempt to turn around, because you're a wonderful person. Don't ever doubt it. May says a rebounder is great exercise. BCF says, please check out my new channel. New content coming very soon. The aim of my channel is to have viewers suggest anything. Okay, I'm not familiar with your channel. I'll have a look for the video. Stacy says, guys, just like everything today, we've covered a few different issues. Stay in your optimum zone. Stay in your optimum zone. Your life will tell you if your calories are too much, if something is too stressful, if you've had an issue with your brother's best friend's cousin's mother-in-law, whoever. Don't get out of your zone of productivity. And when you are, remember, it is not lovey-dovey, gushy talk to say that you're worthy and that you're ready to succeed again. It's not. We tell ourselves, oh, you're just saying that. Oh, I'm not worth anything. We allow self-esteem and other problems to disrupt us. Please don't doubt your value, because when you're in the right environment, things just happen. When you take the right initiative, you find the right moment. Things come alive, and it's no longer a struggle. You see, that's what you can't forget. Did you do high carb OMAD? Because every time I put too much carbs, I get sleepy afterwards. I do, but if you're going to find, if you get rid of the fats and do high carb only, you'll feel better. Or you do very high fat only, you'll do better. Your body does not like to use competing fuel sources. So if you're going to do high fat or proteins, or some protein, don't do too high protein. You're going to really stress your liver and kidneys, and you're going to not lose weight. But if you do high fat versus high sugar, I believe in a plant-based approach, but you may not. I'm not going to judge because people respond differently. But my plan is higher carb. If you're getting tired after the meal, your pancreas is overproducing, and or you're diabetic, you're starting to, your body's trying to make insulin. The digestive process is too hard for you. So you can either keep it the same and eat smaller, or you can dedicate to one fuel source or the other. Former adult film star here. All right. Hey, we're not judging. Hey, man, you go. Rebounder is a great. Do you think rebounder is a great exercise? My friend said it's not, but I think it's good. I'm sorry. Hang on. Let me look. I have to look up I don't know. I've never heard a rebounder as an exercise. Yeah, a little trampoline. Yes, I have one. It's a yellow. It's in the other room. I don't really use it that much. It's just one of those mini trampolines that you bounce on. Yes, because you can sit there with music and your headphones and just kind of do a mock jog. Um, it's not as no exercise has the power to make you lose weight, folks. No exercise makes you lose weight. Walking is the closest because it puts you in a stasis. But even that, if you're not at a deficit, you're not going to lose. Um, don't count on that. But if it's a steady activity that you will go back to, then it's the best. Same thing with walking. If you'll walk in the sunlight every day, you're going to lose more weight than if you don't. If you have apple cider vinegar at least every other day, you're going to lose more weight than if you don't. If you optimize your fuel source, if you go either higher fat or higher carb, and you allow your meals to be a little bit smarter, you're going to lose more weight than if you don't. I am 45, Jack. I'll try to limit my carbs, Benjamin says. It's up to you. Find what works for you, but if you don't, make peace with your mind and go out of your way to eat whatever's easiest. Some days you'll have a day where you don't regulate. Remember, don't get caught up in over tracking your food. Hi there, Stanley. You're coming in late to the game. But if you go to the gym, does that help? Don't. It can, but again, it depends on your age. And in your case, you're very young, so I think so. But just keep your body in a state of low stress. You don't want to overwork yourself. In general, the less taxing, the more cardio you do, the more weight loss. Low impact cardio, low yield cardio is going to be the best situation. Yeah, stress, it does have a result in hair loss. You also need to look at your hormone levels. If you're losing a lot of hair, you need to look at your hormone levels because you maybe have an issue with that. Well, my friends, I've got to bring it to a close. We've been going nearly an hour and 15 minutes. As always, reach out. I do have a lot of counseling spots coming open this week. So if you guys want to do a full assessment on my elite program and you want to learn how you think, how you see the world, how you can best lose weight. Benjamin says, I've lost tons of weight and my parents think I'm crazy. You know what? When you change your life, you do. That's how you know you're on the right track. People always think you're crazy. No, that means you're changing things. You're doing things. You're succeeding. That's the way to go. Unfortunately, I got to wrap up for today. But if you have any questions, folks, please reach out to me. I'm here. And I do have I'm going to update my calendar, check back tonight. I'm going to update I'll have nearly all of this week to do some counseling. You can get a package and just ask some questions, or you can go elite and you can do a disc graph, we can do a TARP graph, and you'll learn about how you think, how you reason, how you see the world, your pain points, how you can best optimize. You'll learn the best job for you. You'll learn a ton. Go to my recommended channels, and I'm fixing to update those. I do have to go, Alicia. I have to go. I just gotta because I've got other things to do today. Next Friday we'll go again. The fates will be willing, and we will go from there. So please have a great day, and do take care of yourselves.